What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, a show dedicated to talking about all the progress things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I am one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I'm Veritas.
Just Veritas?
That's just a little old me.
Just little old me.
That's just me, guys.
Oh, gosh.
How you feeling, bud?
Boof, dude, better. It's been up and down. I was like, Tuesday, Wednesday last week, I got I was feeling sick. Last Thursday when we did the podcast, by the end of it, I could like barely talk. And then the weekend, and then I wasn't getting better. And so I thought it was like strep throat. But then the doctor said it was just like some bacterial or some infection. I don't know. But I'm on antibiotics and I was feeling better. And then yesterday after the stream, I already was just feeling the voice go again. So I was like, all right, let's do it tomorrow. But I'm feeling much better today. Finally. But of course, it's like as I start pulling up, both of the kids now got it. And so like, I feel so bad for my wife because then it's like one stays home from school, then they both stay home from school, and then it's just like,
and then your wife gets sick, and then by that point it's mutated to a totally new strain. So
exactly,
then
and then round and round it goes, brother. But we're pulling up, we're pulling out of it. So
you were before it was like pull up, pull up.
Yes.
Stall.
That was like
Stall.
Tuesday, Wednesday this week. Yes, was that. But how you doing, man?
Brother, I have played since the last time we talked 10 games.
Holy.
And like half of them, okay, maybe not half of them. Almost all of them were like 8 out of 10 or better.
Dang.
A couple of them are like maybe my top 10 list.
Holy. I've been basically every time I pop in, you've been playing something different this week. Was it a bunch of like shorter games or did you just like not finish any of them?
I finished all of them. It was a lot of them were shorter games.
Okay.
So I got a little list here. I'll go through and talk about each of them a little bit. So one of the first ones I played. Oh yeah, there's one more that I forgot about. It's called Clickholding.
Clickholding?
Yeah, like cuckolding. So you're in a hotel room.
Okay.
There's a chair in the corner with a man sitting there.
What are we talking about?
With I'll have to send you.
I don't want you to send me.
what the guy looks like here. I'm gonna copy the image. Actually, you know what? I'll show you. It'll be even better.
Clickholding.
Clickholding images. It's important.
Podcast after dark. What the fudge?
And the man's sitting there, and you have one of those things that it just has like a 4-digit.
Oh yeah,
1, 2, and he says, "Click." And he's like, "Stop! Go stand over there."
What the hell,
Click.
bro?
I clicked 10,000 clicks 3 times. So 30,000 clicks I clicked.
What the hell is this?
And the man basically tells you when, how, and where to click. There's a TV and a thermostat and some shades, and I don't. So actually, here's a question: how in depth do I get when I talk about these games? Because like it's a balance between talking about why a game was great, what the experience was like, and then also like spoilers, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't know.
I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're pretty safe to spoil click holding. You know, I think there's a difference between like Kingdom Come, you know, and then like a super niche indie game that you know, finish in an afternoon. And if you're mad interested in click holding as a viewer, then skip ahead a few minutes, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I've played Cookie Clicker, guys. Anyway, so basically, once you get to 10,000, well, actually, at some point, he pulls out a gun.
What?
So he's got a gun, and he's
Dude,
basically like,
I'm just on a roller coaster here. When you said he pulls out, I thought you were going in a different direction.
yeah, no, he whips out
He whips out his
a
giant
giant
gun.
black gun and points it. No, the whole time he's talking about like there's like money under the bed or something, and it's like if you want the money, I'll let you leave. Once you get to like 999, he's like okay, and then he puts the gun to his temple, and he's like, do it, and you click, and he pulls the trigger.
What the? What is this game, bro? Who told you to play this?
It's like a psychological horror. All the shit that he says to you in the meantime.
Yeah, what happens if you don't do what he says?
Well, I'm trying to remember because I went through multiple times. Oh, if you don't do what he says.
Yeah, if he's like click and you don't click, or if he says move over there and you don't move over there.
I think like he kind of like repeats himself after a time and pressures you a little bit more, but at some point I don't think that there's any like
Gotcha.
fail conditions necessarily. I'm not sure.
Whoever.
There's a Twitch integration, and if you type the word click, there's a separate counter. So people were just spamming like a wall of text, click, 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 and it was going up.
Holy.
For some reason, whenever it got to 999, and then they clicked over to 1,000, there was like a weird thunder noise, and then it went back to 0, even though it goes up to 10,000. This doesn't sound entertaining. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. The game was worth the like $6 or whatever.
Whoever made this game needs to be put on a list. What the frick?
Yeah, it was great. So that was click holding. Okay.
Christ.
Then there was a game. Then there was a game I played called Cabin Factory.
Okay.
Now, there's a company that manufactures cabins. They mass produce cabins, and apparently there's been some issues where the cabins have been haunted.
Naturally.
So you are hired to be quality control. So you press a button, and on a giant conveyor belt comes a log cabin.
Very like Monsters Inc. with the doors.
Yep. And you walk into the cabin, and you like walk in, and like you can like look behind the door, and there's like a chair, you know, and there's like some hats and stuff on the rack on the wall, and you go around the corner, and there's a chair with like a little stuffed animal and a bed with like something kind of under a sheet, and then one of those creepy women in the paintings above the fireplace. And then you turn left, and there's a dinner table with a man there, but it's like a mannequin, not really a mannequin, like it's a man, but he's like frozen in time. And then you go past him up the stairs, and there's a TV with like a chair with like a creepy frog plushy thing, and what looks like a little boy, like a little schoolboy, and it's got like the high socks, but he's sitting there, but there's like a blanket draped over him, and so all you see is his little feet. If you see any motion, it's haunted. Get the fuck out and hit the button that's like bad.
No.
Otherwise, you go through the whole thing, and if it's good, if you didn't see anything, then you go hit the green button. You have to get, I want to say, either 8 or 10 in a row. The moment you get one wrong, it resets it. So you just, yeah, dude.
No.
Like the first few times I went in, there was like nothing. And then like the third time I went in and went to go walk by, and the guy at the table went, when you walk by, he's like, no, fuck, like turn around and just like run out. And of course, there's like, you know, the rising kind of tension of the music. You're like, I don't know if I'm being chased. I can't, there's no time for me to turn around and look. So you just go out the fucking door, hit the button. The next time I went in, the little boy's feet were just going, whoop, whoop, like he's just kind of wiggling his feet.
Nope.
Yeah, so
that's crazy. What's the win condition? You said just getting 10 in a row?
You gotta get 10 in a row, yeah. But even then, after you do the 10 in a row, then you like win. But then I saw that there were like 22 that I hadn't experienced. I think it's like a random, you know, there's probably 50 or 60 cabin configurations.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch where there are things that like, it's crazy because it's hard to know if sometimes you don't see something until you notice it. And then it's like, did I just get jump scared by a thing that popped out, or did I just not see it until now? Yeah. So you're always second guessing. You turn the corner and there's just like a little girl hanging from the fucking roof, and you're like, did she pop down or did I not note it? You know, so
what happens if you don't make it out in time? Like if you don't press the button?
You die. If you don't make it out, then yeah, you're like running from the door. And there's some other like some story elements because you end up finding out that like the kids like burn the cabin down and kill the parents or something. And at one point, like you go to walk in the cabin and it's like you're actually walking out the front door and there's a fire and the kids are just standing there like hand in hand looking at the thing burning. Like it gets a little dark. So that was Cabin Factory. That was a fun game. And I played another game called Pools.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's one of those, it was actually made in Unity, but it looks like one of those like Unreal Engine fucking Lumen like lighting.
Yeah.
Like it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now the game's tags are like walking simulator, atmospheric.
Okay, like in Steam.
Yeah, and it's like it's a liminal spaces game.
Okay.
So it's literally just imagine a massive like white tile room with that just has like a pool with like a ladder, and you're like walking through and light coming through the windows, and it's all gorgeous and reflective, and you can hear like your footsteps or like echoing. It's like the sound is incredible. I don't know how long I played it for, probably a few hours. I can actually see on Steam. So I played 16 hours. I think I left it running overnight. So I think it was like seven or 8 hours I probably played it for. And it just ends up being like, have you ever seen any of the Backrooms stuff?
Yes, we've talked about it on the podcast. You've showed me a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, so you end up like in some kind of Backrooms-esque just show like some screenshots from the game. Oops.
Oh. Whoa.
And you're just walking around and your like feet leave like, doesn't that look real, dude?
Yeah, holy.
Unbelievable.
It's just like a water physics tech demo, basically.
Yeah, until at some point randomly you hear from like another room.
Bro.
And I'm like,
no.
I'm like, yo, it didn't say horror. It didn't say horror. It said walking simulator.
No.
I'm like 4 hours in, right? And then all of a sudden I hear like a creepy noise from the next room.
No.
All I'll say Oh my god. Okay, so I'm not going to say anything
Okay.
other than at one point, like the whole time, I'm constantly like looking behind me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just because I'm like, you're not going to fucking get me, gadget. You're not going to get me.
Mm-hmm.
One time, I'm in what is basically like imagine a narrow hallway with like a rounded top, all white tile
Mm-hmm.
with like water up to your sternum.
Nope. You're
And
in
I'm
the
just
water?
you spend a ton of your time in the water, and of course you can't like run in the water.
Nope.
And I turn around and I see a black silhouette go in the water.
This is like actual nightmare fuel for me. I don't do water stuff.
Brother, nothing happened for the rest of the game.
That doesn't make me
I don't
feel better.
know. I don't know. There was I got a achievement. 8% of the players got this achievement. It's called I said look behind you, and it's caught a glimpse of a timid being. And there was nothing else. It just like the environment keeps like evolving to the point where at one point you're like in the back rooms. At one point you're like in an area that looks like almost like a Truman Show neighborhood, like nuclear family perfect neighborhood, but with like copy pasted the same house over and over and over again inside of a giant room with really high walls and like speaker playing this creepy music.
Do you ever finish the game, or is it just like you walk around these spaces until you decide to stop?
Yeah, you finish.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a beautiful game. It's an interesting game. If you like liminal space stuff, it's a vibe. You should check it out. But yeah, it definitely was an interesting one.
Sheesh, bro. No, thank you.
Yeah. I can bust out a few others before we'll probably want to break, and then there's a few that I want to spend just a little bit longer talking about. So Cabin Factory pools. Did you ever see Exit 8?
What is that?
You're in like imagine a hallway that's like a subway.
It's like subway tunnels, and you have to turn around if you see. Okay, I was going to add this to your list. I don't have any idea what this game is. I just keep seeing this one dude speed running it in my YouTube shorts. I didn't know it was called Exit 8. I was in the back of my head while you were talking, thinking about how I'm going to describe this game to you and hope chat gets it. But I
played Exit 8 like 2 years ago.
Okay.
The way that the game works, and I guess like a minor spoiler, part of the game is figuring out what the game is.
Yeah.
Once that's like the first 5%, right? And then the rest is, but so I guess, fast forward a little bit if you care. But basically you're in a hallway and it's just like subway things. There's like lights on the ceiling, tiles on the floor. Yeah. There's some like signs, like some advertisements on the walls, some doors, some vents, just like random stuff. And then when you start, you see a guy who's like a Japanese businessman in a suit with like a phone and a briefcase. And he just walks around the corner, walks down the hall, turns the corner, and that's it. Now, it's shaped like, imagine like a Z with like a really long center.
Yeah.
You can either you turn left both directions.
Yes. Yep.
The way that the game works, like the core conceit is you look at your surroundings like at first, and like this is the hallway, the canonical hallway. You then just walk in one direction.
Yep.
You're in, and then you turn left, you turn right. It's the hallway. Japanese businessman comes walking out. And what you have to do is figure out are there any anomalies?
Yeah. Anything
Did
weird?
anything change? Now, sometimes it's like extremely subtle. Like one of the advertisements is like shifted over, or one of the lights is flickering, or the Japanese guy never showed up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a fucking giant tidal wave of blood, you know. But basically, if is an anomaly, you turn around and you go back.
Yep.
Otherwise, you keep walking in that direction, and you'll come. And what you see is there's like an exit sign.
Yep.
And it goes from 1, and if there's no anomaly, you go straight. 2, if there is an anomaly, you turn around. 3, if there is an anomaly, but you went straight. 1, it starts over. So it's kind of like the whole cabin factory thing. So you just get like really good at being like advertisement, light, tile, Japanese guy, blah, blah, blah. Like you just, every detail you look at.
Yep.
And there are some kind of creepy sort of horror elements every now and then. It's a really interesting puzzle game. So that was Exit 8. Platform 8 was a sequel from the same guy. That you're on a train, a Japanese train.
Okay.
And you go basically like from
train car to train car. Gotcha.
And it's the same thing with a twist.
That's cool.
Yeah, because sometimes there's anomalies. Sometimes there are certain things. Like at one point, like you walk in and you can't really see out the windows, right? It's just kind of like a blur. At one point, like you're walking along and like the door to the train opens and like a train-sized hand reaches in, and it's like another one reaches in. It's like you got to not get grabbed by the hand. At one point, there's just a little Asian girl with her back turned to you at the end of the thing, and you're like, nope.
Miss Wong?
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a really good game. Definitely worth like the $7 or $8.
Yeah.
And then I played another game that, as far as I can tell, seems like it was kind of a clone of it.
Oh, of Platform 8 or Exit 8?
Yeah, called Shinkansen Zero, I think.
Okay.
And it's another train game with a little bit of a twist to it. I won't spoil anything, but that was another interesting kind of fun game if you want like a iterative little puzzle thing that you can play. So yeah.
That's dope. That's sick that you're like running the gamut on these like little indie, just like it's crazy because as someone who is like fully plugged into the like mainstream, right? I play Tarkov and all we talk about is like Call of Duty or this other big game or what's the new Battlefield. Sometimes I forget that there's like one guy out there in Unreal making like Platform 8. There's these, 12 anomalies, 8 levels, and he loves it. And it's fun, and it doesn't have to generate $1 trillion annually with a battle pass.
Yeah.
It can just be $6 and a couple hundred people can like love it, and that's cool for him. You know what I mean? So that is like fun to hear you kind of just like ripping through all these tiny little games.
Yeah, dude. They've all been great, and most of them have been under $10.
That's sick. That's sick. Well, I definitely want to hear more about some of the ones that you got. But before we do, I do want to take a quick second and thank the first sponsor for this week's episode, and that is Chubbies. Spring is almost here. If you're in Florida, it's definitely already here. So it's time to shake off those heavy layers and bust out those beautiful thighs. I am excited for t-shirt and shorts weather. I was converted last year when we first got into Chubbies. I was always a like jeans through summer kind of guy because I never found shorts that I found flattering. I was still shorts past the knees kind of guy, or I was making my own jorts like a Florida man. But last year when we partnered with Chubbies and we got like nice, stretchy, but with belt loop shorts, they've got all the different, you can get 4-inch inseam, 5.5, 7. I'm experimenting with the 5.5, showing a little more thigh. And genuinely, I'm so excited for short weather. I love the Chubbies that they sent. I love them.
Dude, it's still been cold around here. So I'm looking forward to the shorts, but I really, really am loving the pants, man. Like the pants, the every
day or something.
Yep. I've got a few different colors of, you know, like the more khaki kind of thing, because I actually don't dress like I'm in my pajamas when I actually leave the house. You know, like to look
pants. Yeah.
like to look pretty nice. And and especially the pants that they have that are effectively jeans.
Mm-hmm.
They're also the same stretchy material, super comfortable.
Yep.
They've got like the elastic waistband, but they don't look like they're like, you know, jean sweatpants. They don't look like that at all. It's just quality.
Yep.
They also have like a little drawstring plus the belt loop, so it's like you got a ton of options to keep them, you know, around your waist.
Yep.
What I was wearing a couple days ago actually was the Back to Basic Comfort hoodie, the like super soft. I don't even know what material it is. It's just the most comfortable hoodie I've ever had in my entire life. Genuinely love everything they have. Looks good, fits good, is wicked soft and stretchy and comfortable. It literally has everything.
Yeah, I need to get one of the hoodies because like the flannel is really soft and like the perfect weight to it. It feels great. They've got the polos, they've got shorts, they've got obviously what kind of put them on the map back in the day was the swimwear. Going into, you know, as we go into spring and summer, if you're looking for swimwear, they have like a tremendous amount of patterns and colors and prints. And then once again, the original stretch shorts are great, and the amount of colors you can choose from, and once again, you can choose the inseam for 5.5 inch or 7 inch. You can pair those with the line of performance polos, which is awesome. And like we said, they have all sorts of like comfort wear, like hoodies and sweatpants and stuff like that, in addition to the like actual pants, which is nice to have a pair of pants that's not jeans and not like black dress pants, like something that like a khaki thing that's uber comfortable, but like looks that and a polo, and it's like you look really nice and you're really comfortable. So it's awesome. Whether you're getting dressed for your workday, a workout, or a weekend getaway, Chubbies has you covered. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our viewers 20% off your order with code THEPOGCAST. You messed me about this the other day. This is our new code right now. THEPOGCAST at chubbiesshorts.com. That's code THEPOGCAST at chubbiesshorts.com. Support our show and tell them that we sent you. Don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubbies. Bada bing. So, all right. So what else you got?
So I played a game. It's so funny. So many of these games, they've been games that have like been on my radar, but I've just kind of like ignored them. I've watched a trailer and was kind of like, roll my eyes.
Yeah,
dude. A bunch of these games are like, I might have had one person, maybe two, be like, you should definitely play this game. You're gonna like it. And a few of these games, they should have been like, grab me by the shoulders and say, fucking play the game. Yeah. Just like, trust me,
just
play
that
it.
Good.
You know, like I wanted with Outer Wilds, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
life-changing fucking game. One of the games that I really very, very much enjoyed was called The Forgotten City.
Okay.
This was originally a Skyrim mod.
Whoa.
It was a Skyrim mod that the guy basically, like, I think he built it in as a mod to Skyrim, and then afterward he made a standalone version of the game. It basically takes place in, I won't spoil anything for this game, because this is a game, if you like what I'm going to describe, you should play it, and I don't want to spoil it. You're in like 2,000 years ago, like ancient Rome, basically. Okay. And the core premise is there's the god or gods in this world have what's the word I'm thinking of, that every word I can think of, like bequeathed, like what they have a rule. They have a rule.
Okay.
The golden rule.
Okay.
Not the golden rule that you think.
Yeah.
But it's connected. The golden rule, it's related to, I guess, what I think was, and I'm probably going to get some of the history wrong, don't fucking at me, about, I think it might have been Roman history, where, you ever heard the term decimation?
Mm-hmm.
think of the etymology of that word. Decimation. What is deci? Or deca?
Like 10? That 100?
Like
10?
Like 10.
10, yeah.
That word comes from what was effectively, I believe, like I said, maybe it was a Roman, maybe it was Greek. I don't fucking know. Thing where what they used to do was, if there was some bad shit going on in like the Roman military, what they basically did is one out of every 10 soldiers would be killed, put to death, basically randomly selected. So it was like, fuck around and find out, and no one's safe, so don't break the rules. It's a lot easier for them to just do that than it is.
Wait, and this is real, right?
Apparently that's real history. So
yeah, that
and apparently
IRL
it's by the other 9.
IRL Thanos snap. What the frick?
So the idea is like, you really want to not do anything wrong, but also like make sure no one else does anything wrong, because anyone can be punished. So
when anyone
the saying,
does something wrong, holy.
The saying is basically like, we all get punished for this. What's the golden rule? Forgotten city punished. There's a phrase that I'm going to get wrong. Yeah, I'm not going to get it right. But it's basically, like, we all get punished.
Yeah.
The group gets punished for the sins of the individual, something. It's way quippier than that. But so now in this case, what happens is, if you commit any crimes, or anyone commits any crimes, everyone in this city that you find yourself in, and I think there's 22 people plus you, everyone turns to gold. And you basically die. Actually, You're alive. You're alive in the gold forever. And you can see and hear in a statue. And literally, you're walking around, and there's statues of people all over the place. And the creepy thing is that, like, if you walk by and you turn and look at them, the statue's like this. The statue will be like this. And if you turn away and you look at them again, the head is turned towards you.
Nah. Holy.
Which was like something I noticed like a few hours in. I was like, oh, their fucking heads are falling. I didn't realize. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. There you go.
Damn.
Now, the first time through, you go through, you talk to a bunch of people, you're figuring out what's going on. There's some crazy people. There's some people that are like, I don't believe in this golden rule. It's bullshit. And other people that are like, there are people that are missing. There are people that are trying to like escape, but they can't figure out how to. And then after, I don't know, 20 minutes or whatever, I don't know how much time it is, they pull everyone. Hey, everyone, it's time to vote for the new like president or whatever the fuck. I don't know what I forget what the term is. There's 2 people that get put up as candidates, and they go through the voting, and the guy who isn't the current president, I don't remember which one's the incumbent. I don't know why I'm blanking.
Yeah.
The new guy wins.
Okay.
And he's like, as my first rule, I'm saying the golden rule's bullshit. We're not paying attention to that. It's just it's made up. It's nonsense. And you, to the previous president guy, are going to be sentenced to death. And then all of a sudden you hear a booming voice from the skies and everything starts shaking and everyone dies.
Zoinks.
Unless that guy who was sentenced to death, the golden rule supporter guy, starts running and you get a quest that's to follow him. Now, if you follow him now the golden statues, half of them come alive and they fucking firing bows at you, and you get hit like 2 or 3 times and you die.
Jesus.
Make it all the way to the area where you came in. He does some magic, summons a portal. You walk through the portal, and time starts over at the beginning. Fucking Majora's Mask style. It's you walk in and there's a guy standing there and he's like, "Hi, I'm Joe," and You do this a few times. I'll just say that.
Jeez.
And you basically need to prevent everyone from dying. And there's like 4 different endings. It's some of the it's for a thing that was a mod.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The quality is incredible. The story is incredible. The characters, and there were like 2 or 3 moments where the fucking things I said out loud with my mouth, the characters said, or I had the option. It was like, oh, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic game. It's 1000%. The Forgotten City is the name of it. 1000% worth playing if you liked Skyrim or Oblivion.
Yeah.
It's not like really.
Yeah, it's not like an RPG like that, but
yeah.
That's sick.
But yeah, it was a fantastic game that definitely made it onto my. I don't know about my top 10. Maybe there's been so many games I've played in the last year or 2 that have been so good that I have 50 games in my top 10 list. Yeah. So I need to fucking do some pruning.
but I get what you mean when you say that. Like, it might not literally be in your top 10, but the fact, like, it's so good that you want to honor it with like some moniker that like this is a game that stands above.
Yeah, I think and it's got a little bit of jank here and there, but none of it matters.
Yeah,
it's definitely like a 9 out of 10.
That's awesome
game. So then I played another game.
That's sick.
Called Dead Letter Department.
Okay.
Now,
sounds like
this game
Taylor
is like
Swift album.
Yeah, this game is too complicated for me to even explain. Other than when you're sending mail.
Okay.
If like you have really shitty handwriting or like something gets smudged or half the label gets ripped off, it ends up in the dead letter department where either computers or people have to look at the thing and try to figure out, oh, okay, this is the address, This is the zip code, it tries to resolve that. You have a job. You move to the city, you have a new job where that's what you do. So you go to work, sit in front of a computer, and you like shows you a picture of an envelope and you type it in. The name, the address, the zip code, you hit enter, right? And it gets weird. It gets dark.
Oh, God.
It's an experience. I would say check out the game. I would say watch the trailer.
Okay.
Check out the trailer, and if it looks like something you might be interested in, then yeah.
Dead Letter Department. Yeah.
It's got an incredible aesthetic. Yeah, it's a vibe.
That's like what I almost like. That's like the mental picture I have in my head when like the old school content moderation on like Facebook was just like guys at computers watching all this shit and then, banning it like that. That's the aesthetic in my brain is like that, just like dark at a desk looking at a computer screen. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It gets interesting when the 10th letter you get is like labeled to Aunt Sally. She lives in a red house somewhere down the road. It's like, do I type that in to the thing? And then it just gets weirder, just gets darker, and that's all I'll say. So that's Dead Letter Department.
Jeez.
I played another puzzle game. Actually, I'll get to that afterwards. It's called A Little to the Left.
Okay.
It was not very good.
Okay.
It was one of those puzzle games where it's like the puzzles aren't hard; they're just arbitrary and annoying, and also it's supposed to be like one of those satisfying sort of things where it's like you got to organize like the envelopes in order from like biggest to smallest, right? And it's like they all have a place, and it's very chill. It's very like arts and craftsy. Could be like a kid's game.
Like the puzzle game version of what are those stupid problems I hate? The riddles that are dumb.
Lateral thinking problems.
Yeah.
Kind of. That's what is bad about a lot of the puzzles. Now, a lot of the puzzles have multiple solutions, which makes it even a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
It's like one where you have to line up a bunch of pencils, and the pencils are like red, orange, yellow, green, blue. So you can put them in like rainbow order, but then also you can put them in order by how much lead they have or how big the eraser is. So there's like multiple. But then there are some that are just really annoying and arbitrary. Like there's one that's just all like nails, and you have to like hang up tools, and it's like and there are some that it like doesn't matter where you put them, as long as you follow a particular arbitrary rule, and then it works. There are others where it's like you drag it and it like snaps in place, it's like, where it's like it's weird. I didn't really like it.
Okay.
So I ended up stopping playing it. Stopped playing early. After that, I ended up playing, and what you saw me playing now, I'm a few hours in.
Oh.
A game called Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
Which is like not a new game at all. It was just one of those games. It's just one of those games that like I saw a million times, and whenever I watched the trailer, it always reminded me of what was that like space RPG? Oh God, that
like Mass Effect.
Yes, holy shit, Mass Effect.
I got you.
I've seen a bunch of Mass Effect like gameplay adjacent to some other stuff, and I just was like, because it just looked like very Mass Effect-y.
Yeah.
This game is, so far you basically play as robots that are like Westworld level realism.
Yeah.
And the first opening mission, you're a police assistant robot, I guess. Okay. I don't know if you're a police officer robot, but you're like the negotiator that's been asked to come in to negotiate with a robot that has like gone rogue. And there's really cool like detective elements where it's like you go and you look at the box where there's a gun in here and there's shells on the ground, and like you just do all this. You end up doing like some cool recreations based on like there's blood, because you're a robot, right? You could do this high level analysis where it's like, oh, okay, you kind of recreate the body fell backwards this way, and it's really, really interesting, really cool. And then you end up on the balcony where there's a robot with like a 7-year-old girl with a gun to her head. And based on all the things you investigated, the clues you've gotten, that gives you certain options that you can work with and certain ways to like respond in your negotiation to try to be like, step away, from the ledge, don't hurt the girl. I was doing, I thought my negotiation tactics were okay, and then I said something to the guy, and he basically was like, yeah, fuck this, and just falls off with the girl.
Yeesh.
So the first mission, I killed a little girl, and then it's like, go to the next.
Dang.
And at the end, you see all the branching paths, because there's all these decisions that you can make. I'm only 3.5 hours into the game. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played.
Yeah.
And it's like not a new game.
No. I'm pretty sure it was a PlayStation exclusive for a long time.
Yeah, okay, so it came out in 2020.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this is going to be for sure top 10. It's a masterpiece right now. It's like I'm watching a movie. I'm getting like Blade Runner vibes.
Yeah, this is like the culmination for Quantum Dream. I remember one of the first games that they put out that was like really big was Heavy Rain, and that came out a long time ago. I remember I played a little bit of that, And then they did this is Beyond Two Souls, I think, which was the one with like Ellen Page or something. And then Detroit Become Human. This was one that I always felt like I haven't played it because, like I said, it was a PS5 exclusive. I didn't have a PS5 at the time, and then now whatever. But like, this is one that I felt like, bro, we need the HBO series on this. You know what I mean? Like, because it seems so like cool, the vibe, the aesthetic of it. It seems sick.
Yeah, no, I'm really loving the detective elements. There's now I will warn everyone. One of the elements, there's like the dialogue options, which it gives you a bunch of stuff. Then there's like the detective stuff. I guess there's kind of 3 core elements. There's dialogue, the detective, crime scene sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But not all of it's crime scene. You play as different. One of them is like there's just like a drunk drug addict dad and the daughter, and you're like a robot that like has to figure out what you're gonna do to help the daughter, to listen to the dad, to not break your fucking robot directives when shit goes awry. But then the third element is like quick time events, basically.
Yeah.
Where it's like, like at one point someone might go to grab you and it's like you got to hit like Q to move out of the way. And that was one of the things when the guy like fell off randomly. It was like hit F, gone. And it's like, God, I didn't know there was going to be a thing. Like if I had hit it, I might have been able to like grab her leg or something, but I just didn't. So that's something that I wasn't expecting.
Gotcha.
It seems to be fairly forgiving. You have like 14 femtoseconds to react, but like you don't have to get all of them. And there are some interesting ones that kind of feel good. At one point, I'm like crawling with like my elbows, and it's like Q, E, Q.
Yeah,
At another point, I'm like have to remove one of my legs and like plug in a leg, and it's like mouse 1, mouse 2, and like down. So it just like
it feels good.
It feels
That's
satisfying.
cool. That's cool. Yeah.
So it's a masterpiece, I can tell. So then there's 2 more games. I played all the way through Hellblade.
Oh, yeah. Senua's Sacrifice?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard. I mean, that game won a ton of awards. Like, that game I heard was incredible.
Now, that was another one of those games that I like looked at the trailer maybe when it came out, or whatever, and I thought it was like Monster Hunter meets. There's another game that people had mentioned that's like maybe there's like the one with mechanical dinosaurs or something.
Oh, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, I thought it was like Horizon Zero Dawn Monster Hunter kind of game.
Yeah. Because
it kind of had kind of that aesthetic.
Yeah.
This game is what convinced me to play it. Was I watched one of the alternate trailers. It wasn't even really a trailer, but basically, and I'll read to you the few things that it says. Let me pull it up here. This is what really got me. So the trailer was literally just screenshots. You know what? Let me see if I can pull it up. So screenshots taken by players with messages that they sent to the developers.
Oh, shoot. So this must be after it came out. Like, an alternate trailer. Gotcha.
Yeah, so let me just pull it up real quick on the Steam page.
That's super interesting.
Yeah, I was definitely born January 1st,
1973.
61.
Most definitely.
So these are all, there's like a photo mode.
Yeah.
And I'll read what it says for those who are listening audio only. All shots were submitted by players using the in-game photo mode. All quotes are from messages sent to Ninja Theory, the developers, by fans. And they received hundreds like these.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I'm like thinking, okay, this is some Horizon Zero Dawn, like whatever.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm about to experience here. Since I was a baby, I've suffered violent abuse. I felt like I didn't belong in this world. I heard voices, saw numbers, and letters in the world. I was harassed by my own reflection in a mirror. So strange to see this all in a video game.
Veritas is like, what the?
Your game made me cry because it showed it was possible to understand me. I had a psychotic break several years ago. My brother never understood. I overheard him say he was ashamed of me. After this game, he turned to me and said he was sorry. You got a message across that I never could.
Damn.
Look at this, dude. This is a screenshot from photo mode of the game. It has the best mocap ever. It's just
Damn.
the game is a masterpiece. It's a work of art. It made me reconsider playing Elden Ring again. The combat it's a little repetitive.
Yeah.
But it's very satisfying.
Oh, cool.
Very satisfying. You feel like a fucking baller.
That's sick.
So, and there's been a sequel, and apparently that's like incredible as well.
Yeah.
I'm saving that for sometime soon. I can't wait. But yeah, the game is called Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's so funny because like when someone's like, "You ever played Hellblade?" I'm picturing like Doom.
Yeah, Hellblade.
Like Final Fantasy, you know what I mean? Like
100%, 100%.
But it's got some it's one of the most unique games I've ever played.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I don't want to say anything else about it. There's some really cool things about it that I just don't even want to spoil. And that takes me to the last one.
This is the puzzle one I saw you playing yesterday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now the question is, it'll probably be like, I don't know, 10 minutes to talk about. Do you want me to say it now, or do we want to?
Well, yeah, no. This is perfect. Yeah, we'll take before we talk about this, because this is the one I've been waiting for. Because I popped into V's stream yesterday to be like, "Yo, I'm dead. Please, can we move the podcast?" And you were like, "That's fine. I can finish this game." And I was like, "Oh, sick." So I hung out for a little bit. It looked crazy. But before we hop into that, I do want to take a quick second and thank the second sponsor for this episode, and that is Factor. If you are ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has you covered with chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved, and they're ready to eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great. Factor is awesome. We've worked with them for a long time. They sent us a couple of meals and some of their cold-pressed juices, which are delicious. And they've got just about everything you need. You know, my big thing with services like these is if it's going to be a convenient service, I actually want it to be convenient. And the amount of agency you have when choosing your meals at Factor, they have, I think, over 40 options across 8 different dietary preferences every week. So you can, whether you're like an exploratory eater or a picky eater or anything in between, there's always something that you want on the menu. It's not like just here are the 5 options, and if 2 of them are something you don't like, suck it up. You can just pick whatever you want. You always have food that you know you want to eat, and it's ready to eat in 2 minutes. Bada bing.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the perfect middle ground for people who might not necessarily have the time all the time, right, to get everything at the grocery store, do all the cooking, whatever. Everything is there for you. It's all ready to go, fresh, quick to make. And what's like the most important thing is just that it tastes good. Yep. Everything is good. Everything is fantastic. My wife loves it, and she's way like more of an adult eating normal person than
like
I
more
am.
of a refined palate.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the menu,
Yeah.
at some of the options, because you can't not look at this and have your mouth water.
Dude, literally.
Honey mustard chicken, roasted rosemary potatoes, and garlic green beans. Loaded bacon and spinach shredded chicken with roasted Brussels sprouts and ranch sour cream. We've got green chili queso and chicken thigh pasta, parmesan, sun-dried tomatoes, chicken penne, paprika beef, and pepper goulash macaroni.
God dang.
There's breakfast options. They've got pancakes.
Yep.
They've got all the
juices,
the beverages,
and
the juices and smoothies are unbelievable. I mean, they have it all, whether or not you're vegetarian, whether you're trying to be keto friendly,
Yep.
whether or not you're trying to get protein and your fitness, they have everything you need.
Yep.
So
it's awesome. And like you said, they got breakfast, smoothies, grab and go snacks, all sorts of add-ons. It's we really enjoyed it. So you can eat smart this year with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code factorpodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's Factor Podcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring this episode. Bazinga.
So, brother, I gotta
crack open a cold iced tea.
Nice brisk to talk about what has to be in my top 5.
I was about to say, is this like a top 5-er?
This I'm really struggling to figure out if I put it above The Witness or not. Like, I think
that's
I think
high
they are
praise from you.
I think they might be like tied. This is a puzzle game of all puzzle games.
Dang.
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
Which what
is
a
name,
banging name. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes.
It's one of those names that's like, I have the energy to even watch a trailer with a name like that sometimes.
Yeah.
And that made me miss out on just an utter fucking masterpiece. If you like puzzle games, God almighty. Okay, first of all, this is like my little notebook. Right? These are the notes I took while playing this game. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And it not in like a terribly annoying way, in the best way possible. Like, if you're the person who, when you get a pen and paper to play a game, if that gets you excited, play this game.
Yeah.
The description on Steam, let me read this because I haven't even seen this before. I didn't even read this, but I want to know what they wrote. The stage is set. Imagine an old Baroque manor, perhaps a hotel or a museum somewhere in Central Europe. A woman wanders in search of answers. Bro, the aesthetic. I watched a little video essay on it yesterday. The aesthetic, like, is the gameplay. It's a combination of like Resident Evil, but not horror.
But like the way in which you interact with the world,
the way you move through the environment. There's even like a computer terminal. That's what you use to save, like kind of like the old ink ribbon typewriter thing. I mean, the fucking art is incredible, dude. It's just so incredible. The puzzles, there's like 300 and something puzzles. And oh god, just look at it.
Yeah.
Would you just look at it?
Just look at it? I mean, look at that.
Oh man, dude.
That's sick.
It's a mind fuck. From a perspective of puzzles, it does everything right.
That's sick.
Every puzzle, of the 300 plus puzzles, every one of them is, if you explore, you pay attention, and you use logic and deductive reasoning
Yeah.
and attention to detail, you can solve them. The puzzles in this game were some of the most complex, difficult, challenging puzzles of any game I've ever played. And other than like 2 or 3, I never once struggled. It's just like the weirdest.
Yeah.
It's like I was like, if this is this, and if I follow this logically through, that means I'd have to look at this, and my gut just tells me that I would have to do this, and it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the most satisfying type of puzzle game where they're walking that razor's edge, where they can add complexity without it feeling just like arbitrary or weird or like or tiring. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to spoil. There's a shit. I mean, the whole game is puzzles.
Yeah.
The whole game is puzzles. But I think like talking about 1 or 2 quick examples just to give an idea. You know, and I mean, I guess this would be no different if like you came into my stream and you saw me do a puzzle or 2 and you were like, okay, I got to play this game.
Yeah.
So I'm literally just going to like look through.
Is there kind of like a narrative happening behind? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So. Oh, and it just occurred to me that I never used the tampons. So you start off in like, you're next to your car and all you have is a car key in your inventory. And I think you like check the glove box and there's like tampons, and because you're playing as like a woman.
Yeah.
Like a young artsy woman. And the whole game, you just have these tampons in your
fucking inventory.
And I don't know if they ever get used. I'm going to have to figure that out. I'm going to have to Google it. I did like 97% complete, I think.
Oh my God, bro.
But so, to give an example of one of the puzzles. God, I don't even know where to begin. So when you start exploring, this like hotel room, this hotel.
Okay.
And there are some characters that act very bizarre and speak very bizarre. At some point, you're given a key to your room, and the rooms are all like 1963, 1958, 2014. Your room is 2014. You go to walk up to your room, you open up the door, and there's an elderly woman lying in bed. And there's a clipboard next to her. You pick up the clipboard, and it's like medical notes about like the patient, blah, blah, blah. The patient, and then black bar, like redacted.
Okay.
Suffers from redacted. Just a whole bunch of stuff that's like all redacted. That you'll start to fill in the redacteds. Not literally. It never becomes unredacted, but you could read it later because you like know what's going on. And she's just like mumbling nonsense. You can listen to her, you can talk to her, and it's like talk to her, and it's just like you're given an on-screen keyboard to like enter in text.
Hello.
You type hello, she doesn't respond. So there's books all around because there's like a library and there's a whole art exhibition. And in the library, there's a bunch of books on the Greek alphabet, Roman numerals, astrology, like the signs, Gemini, whatever. So there's a whole bunch of books, and those books, a ton of those books acts as like references because most people don't know Sagittarius is between these months and these months.
Yeah.
Or like what the phases of the moon were in 1847 for the dates.
Yeah.
That's a puzzle.
Jeez.
I can't even. This is like one of those things that's like impossible to explain. The story is not what it seems. It's way deeper and kind of more beautiful and kind of darker than you would think.
Mm-hmm.
So a quick example of one of the puzzles. There is like a typewriter.
Okay.
Next to the typewriter is a pad of paper. You like look at it and it says like enter in the case sensitive password.
Okay.
Like, okay. Now the only other thing in the room is a big board on the wall that has it's upside down.
Okay.
And there are four-digit numbers.
Okay.
With the last digit empty. So if you were to flip it upside down and look, it would be 201 blank, 196 blank, 184 blank. Now there's a recurring theme about 1847, 1963, and 2014. Those dates come up a lot.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to spoil one puzzle.
Yeah.
As a lead up into like some of the kind of things you'd expect. So you're looking at it and you're like, okay, obviously I need a password for this thing. It says it needs to be case sensitive or whatever. The keyboard doesn't have any numbers on it. It's just characters, A through Z. And so you can kind of deduce from your experience that like, okay, I know it's 7, 3, and 4 that go there.
Yep.
Now, with my pen and paper, right, I'm writing this out, right? And I'm like writing it out upside down.
The numbers?
And I'm like, it's the 734, right? Because it's like ostensibly you're looking at these 4 dates. You know what those numbers are going to be. They're missing, so clearly those 3 numbers are relevant.
Yeah.
And they're upside down. Why would they be upside down? Right? It's all of the things that you have to think. There's numbers. I know what those numbers are.
Yeah.
But they're upside down. Why would they be upside down? And there's a typewriter. The typewriter it says case sensitive, so case matters, and it only has letters. So the first thing that came to mind was, well, maybe like, 1 is A, 2 is B, 3 is B. Like that's a logical thing to think about. I end up figuring out 743. I do those numbers, but those letters, but it's like, wait, but would they be uppercase or lowercase?
Yeah.
That instantly is like, that's ambiguous enough that like,
it's probably
I don't
not
think
the
that's
answer.
not the solution.
Yeah.
Now, after writing it down, saying, all right, I'm going to come back to this in a little bit, but I'm not really sure. So let's see. Can you see the 743?
Uh-huh. EHL.
Capital E, lowercase h, up, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Go over, enter, out gets printed a sheet of paper.
And you're just like, hell yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's just so satisfying to be able to walk through.
Yeah.
Like, what information do I have?
Yeah.
What can I do with that information? And whenever
everything
I got
is relevant.
Stuck,
yeah.
Whenever I got stuck, it was always, what information do I have? And when I would go through, now, almost everything that you see, the books, the posters, everything, it gets saved in like, you can basically pull up the start menu and like look at your saved memories. You have a photographic memory, so you can like look through the pages of books from anywhere. You don't have to go back.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's really nice, really convenient. Now, what prints out from that is debug test for some video game, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, the video game. Test, debug, and it gives you 3 crash reports.
Okay.
That says, when you interact with the magician a number of times in a row with your back turned to him, his character model glitches out and the texture wall behind him no longer has collision. Walking through that causes the game to crash. And that's bug gamma.
Okay.
Or phi or pi or alpha. And remember, there's a book on Greek letters.
Yeah.
Now, so in the next room over, there's like a Nintendo with a keyboard, with a TV. And there's a puzzle to figure out how to unlock to play the game in debug mode.
Oh my God.
And then you go and now when you're playing that game, it's so like, you know, this is like the normal kind of game. When you're playing that, oh, actually here you can see that's like what one of the pages looks like, right? Let me see. The game looks like that.
So I was wondering, I saw with some of the footage you showed earlier, it was like almost like N64 graphics of this game. So when you're playing the game, you're just playing a smaller version of the game.
Yeah, kind of. It's got like straight up like fucking
a game within a game.
Oh, like here right there, you see it gets all glitchy and brrr, and all of a sudden,
T-pose,
fucking T-pose, and it's upside down, and all of a sudden, there's a crash dump, and the crash dump gives you a memory address, which is a 3-digit code. So now you know I have a 3-digit code, gamma. Later on, that connection becomes relevant. A Greek letter, right? And so that's just 1/9 of one of the puzzles, and there's like 300 puzzles.
Jesus.
It's just...
That's so sick.
The game, just play it. And it's published by Annapurna.
I was going to ask who made it, yeah.
So the developer is Simogo.
Okay.
They made a couple other games, but the publisher's Annapurna. They just like publish winners. Like they did Outer Wilds.
Oh.
Which is my favorite game of all time.
That's cool.
I mean, they just publish everything.
That's cool.
They Stray they published, which I still haven't played, but is on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the game, it's just a masterpiece. Sick. It's like Resident Evil meets The Witness meets Day of the Tentacle, which I think I've talked about this game before. It's the one where there's the Chronojon porta potty time machine. One person goes in the future, one person goes that old like LucasArts point and click puzzle game.
Yep.
Very much like that. It's a masterpiece.
That's awesome.
A masterpiece. Yeah, and I will say the only other thing I'll point out is that when you start, one of the things that gets like saved in your one of the things that's like your starting photographic memory sort of like references is like a manual, almost like an intro to the game.
Oh, okay.
And it starts off by saying Thank you for selecting the Lorelei and the Laser Eyes software. Now this was like in the glove box of your car.
Okay.
So in the glove box of your car, the manual is saying, "Thank you for selecting the software of the game that you're playing." Which, don't think about that for too long.
Yeah.
Because it might break your brain a little bit.
Jeez.
It's some Inception levels of what the fuck
That's awesome.
am I experiencing? It's just a masterpiece. It's a piece of art.
How long were you playing it for? Like a couple of days? Because that sounds like a lot of puzzles.
It's like 30 hours ish.
Okay.
30 hours. Now, Steam, I guess, says like on average, or I think on average, it was like 25 hours or something that people were completing it. Although I have a feeling that like that can't be true.
Yeah.
Because I'm really good at these kinds of puzzles.
Yeah. Do you have to do them all to complete the game, or could you
pretty much, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
You don't have to 100% it.
Yeah.
But
you get close enough. You don't like 50% it, finish the game, and then you can go explore if you want.
Yeah, so like for an example, there's like 20 doors that are shortcut doors that like connect two rooms with like a small hallway that otherwise you'd have to go up some stairs, down an elevator, blah, blah, blah. Each one of those is a puzzle.
Gotcha.
So like you don't have to do any of those puzzles.
Gotcha.
But they'll make your life a lot easier. But for the most part, yeah, you have to do pretty much all of the puzzles. But I have a hard time believing anybody really got through the game much quicker than I did.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that I think a lot of people, when they approach puzzle games, they kind of get stuck after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they go like look up a hint or whatever.
Yeah.
I sat looking at pages of text for an hour or more.
Yeah.
Like a single page of just numbers.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely in gaming as a whole. I mean, you can look at any genre, and the where's the optimization comes in very quick. Where's the guide? Where's the this? So in a specific puzzle game, I feel like there's got to be some level of like, Googling or whatever. But that's sick though, bro. That's dope. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. That's dope.
Yeah. And there's one video essay on it on the internet, and it has 597 views.
Is it a good video?
It's a good video. I literally commented on it. I said, fantastic video. Looking forward to seeing more like this. And a guy like hearted it and whatever. It was a great video.
That's dope.
But yeah,
send it to me, because I probably won't play the game, but I'm always down for a good video essay.
And it's only 18 minutes long.
Oh, yeah. Light work. Send me that.
Yeah. You should definitely watch it. It's pretty. The story, yeah. Oh God, I'm excited for you to watch it.
Hell yeah.
To see what you think just about the narrative, about the story. It's a beautiful and dark and weird,
dark and twisted.
The writing is just phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So,
Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, dude. I love it, man. I love the sprint down indie game lane, man. Just like vibing with stuff that like, because you just see a different level of like passion and creativity. You know what I mean? Like, that I think is pretty obvious. Like, that's not to say if you play AAA games or like mainstream games that that those games have no passion or creativity, but there's just something about making it smaller, bringing it down to like the vision of like one dude or a couple of dudes making something crazy, wacky, weird. So it's cool to see you kind of like ripping down that path. That's dope.
Mm-hmm.
That's dope. Well, in my land, I've been kind of like back to playing Tarkov quite a bit. We did the podcast Thursday last week, and on Friday they dropped some pretty big news, some stuff that people have been asking me. I'm sure you know about it just by people like wanting to hear our opinion on it. That way, it was one of those times where we record it Thursday, the patch comes out Friday, we post it Monday. People are like, "Where are you talking about this?" And I was like, "Oh man, it's rough." But before we do that, I do want to take a second and thank the third and final sponsor for this week's episode, and that is ExpressVPN. Having a VPN can be an extremely convenient and helpful thing. Not having one is like not having a case for your phone. VPNs do a lot for you. Your internet traffic is it's easy to get a hold of, especially in public places and a network that you're not the administrator of, when you're out and about at a cafe. And VPNs can help kind of encrypt and secure your data, send it all over the place so it's harder to get a hold of. ExpressVPN specifically has a ton of really cool features. It's very easy to use, rated number one VPN by reviewers like CNET and The Verge. The optional dedicated IP services, it works. You can get it for your phone, your laptop, your TV, you're all over the place. And then there's all sorts of convenience factors in addition, like unlocking your geo-restricted kind of area so you can get access to content on streaming services that are geo-locked to different places in the world. So VPNs have a ton of convenience, a ton of help in the internet age that we live in. So you can secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/pogcast. That's expressvpn.com/pogcast to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months for free. expressvpn.com/pogcast. Thank you so much to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this episode. Okay, so I'll preface this by saying that this patch kind of came out of nowhere, and obviously we've said for many years that like you could distill what we've said down to over many years to like there's like 4 or 5 issues with the game that it just doesn't matter what you do. If those issues aren't fixed, the game's like never going to reach its potential. It's never going to come anywhere to reaching its potential. And this patch felt like the first time one of those tentpole things was addressed in a meaningful way. Now, I was very skeptical from the get-go. I was skeptical reading the patch notes that it was going to feel anything like that in game. When it was feeling good, I was skeptical that the like servers, I don't know how this works technically, but there's a tendency for like a patch to come out and something to feel really good, and just over time it feels worse and worse and worse and worse. So I was like skeptical across the board. And then I was talking with somebody about this where like those 5 things, if you were going to rank them by order of importance, almost like triage them as like which ones are the most important to the health of the game long term, this is probably number 5. You know what I mean? Like in the top 5. So there's that too, that like, you know, I've heard some people be like, yeah, this feels great, but you know, the hit reg but the audio is still atrocious. And I think that's valid. But they did a big patch on the AI, which for me personally has something that's been maybe in my top 3, like just personally, because I get so frustrated with how they interact. And I have always basically advocated for like the real solution is probably pretty complicated. Just turn their like accuracy way down. You know what I mean? Like
make in the interim, make them bad.
Just literally, yeah, just make the AI dumb because I don't trust you can do a complicated, elegant solution, right? But I will read through the patch notes. And we'll talk a little bit about it because it was really interesting. Readjusted the system of enemy detection for AI. Now, bots notice and lose sight of the target gradually rather than instantly. The detection speed is affected by many factors, like weather conditions, distance, and angle to target. The farther away an enemy is, the longer it takes for an AI to detect them. The greater the angle between the bot's view and the enemy, the longer it will take to detect them. The heavier fog or rain will affect the speed. Visibility impact of fog and rain is negated if both the bot and the target are indoors. The detection speed is non-linear in a way, and at very close ranges and impact angles, the impact of angle is much smaller than at farther away, and visibility reduction is combined from all these factors. And dude, I immediately was like, yeah, right. Let's go see. I have 5 to 10 gigabytes of clips that are just me, like, because this is bait a YouTube short 101, right? Where I would just pop out a window and I would ADS on the back of like an AI's head, and I would just wait. And normally in like 3 seconds, they would just 180 spin bot shoot me in the face or shoot at me, right? You know what I mean? Like it was just, I very much so felt the language that they used here where basically when they say now bots notice and lose sight of the target gradually rather than instantly, that's saying they used to notice you instantly. Like there used to just be an instant thing where they would notice you.
Yeah, it was a binary.
Yes. They were either aware of you or not, and basically it was always aware of you. They were just always know where you were. And I've got a few clips where I was 15 feet from an AI. And this is what, we'll get to kind of some of the community response later, but this is what I've always said, like, the beauty of the fighting player is if there's a player 20 feet in front of me and he's like holding an angle because he's like fighting a guy and he's super focused. If I roll up behind him and he hasn't heard me, I could stand there all day, ADS at the back of his head, right? Like that dude's he's on a mission. That real human player playing the game doesn't know I'm there and won't just know I'm there after an arbitrary amount of time. And so I would just sat and I ADS at this AI, and he was not aggroed on another player, so he wasn't focused on anything. And he just didn't do anything until his natural AI pathing had him turn around. Then he turns towards me. Then he like
squints.
Yeah. Then he almost like kind of glitches. Basically, you can kind of tell when they see you. They like turn like really rapidly as opposed to more naturally. So he like turned around, and then he was like, oh, and then he crouched. And then like after 2 seconds, he shot at me. And I was like,
so he crouched and was probably like, are you friendly?
Yes.
Is this a...
Yes, exactly. It like, if I overlaid Discord comms, like if I pretended that I was a scav and that was my scav teammate, and he was like, there's a guy over there, and then he turns around and he's like, hey, is that you? Is that you in the third story window? Is that you? No, boom. Like
you would have matched.
Exactly. It would match. And it was like, oh, baby. Like that would never happen before, bro. Never happened before. The amount of times, I see you in there. The amount of times that like I would run, I'm just like running and I free look over and there's an AI not that far from me, but he's looking the other direction and he's not shooting at me. Like it's so subtle. It sounds so little, but it makes so much of a difference. Okay. So adjusted the coefficients of enemy silhouette detection influence. I don't know what that sentence means. The bot detects a standing target the fastest, then a crouching target, and then a prone target the slowest. I guess that's what that means. Adjusted the AI visibility depending on vegetation. Removed the ability to see through gaps in vegetation at medium and long ranges for all bots, including bosses, except for Zerachi, Bird Eye, and the BTR. Now bots will no longer see through gaps in trees and bushes, but if there's a space between separate vegetation, the bot will still be able to see you. It's a little iffy. I felt like I've gotten shot through some bushes, but I also imagine that's harder to do. Common AI of all difficulty levels, sniper scavs, raiders, rogues, boss guards, excluding the bosses themselves, now always switch to single fire if fighting at long range. In close range fights, the bots can switch to full auto. I know that probably doesn't sound like a big deal, But if you've literally ever,
If it doesn't sound like a big deal to Ed, then you haven't played Tarkov.
yeah, if you've ever played Lighthouse, the freaking rogue 200 meters away, full autoing you with an 11 durability MCX with freaking no optic on it is criminal. So now at least what you get is bang, 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 bang instead of and then you're just dead. So
yeah,
I noticed that we were playing some Lighthouse and I noticed that and I was like, actual the freaking W not being full auto. Reduce the distance at which bots relay information about an enemy. Previously, if a bot saw an enemy or lost contact with a previously spotted enemy, they would report it to other bots around them. This created too much AI pressure on the player, with groups of bots cooperating and attacking a player in cover. After this adjustment, the information relay distance has been reduced to 50 meters if the bot is not in a group. However, the AI scavs can group together, in which case information is relayed in a farther distance. This one is weird because it's like, I just almost like don't believe that the system has ever really worked the way they wanted it to. Like, where like it doesn't feel human in a sense that like, it doesn't feel like guys are like, oh, he's over there. Like, I know they're not saying it verbally, they're doing it telepathically, but to simulate that it being done verbally, like, I don't know. It never felt like it worked that way. And it still kind of feels like they just, within some radius, they're just like bum rushing you. It doesn't feel like coordination, I guess. There's almost like they don't value their life. They're just like running into you, right? Like they're only, that's the binary that's still there. It's like if they're aware of you, they're running in a straight line to you to kill you. And if they're not aware of you, they're not. So they you know, they talk about a lot of language of like they could group up and they can then relate information deeper and they can work together. And it's never felt like that. It still doesn't, but I don't know. That one was kind of weird. Common AI of all difficulty can no longer use suppressing fire. That has to be because they can't figure out how to make suppressing fire not 100% accurate. Like, I imagine that's like, I imagine a lot of the deaths that we've been frustrated to were like supposed to be really inaccurate suppressing fire that the AI does. And they could just never figure out how to get them to not be 100% accurate. So I guess they just turned it off. They can no longer use suppressing fire. The ability is still available for raiders, rogues, and bosses with guards. Previously, AI would use suppressive fire at an enemy behind cover. Accidental kills through thin cover with suppressive fire created the feeling that the AI always tracked the player through walls, which led to a mostly negative experience. This is bullshit. They 100%, they're still maintaining that the AI don't track you through walls, which is just criminal. Like, they absolutely track you through walls.
Because back in the day, they would be shooting at you. You'd run into a very long metal building, close the door, and they're spamming the wall right where you came in, right by the door. Yeah. And then you walk 20 feet and the bullets follow you.
Yes.
That's no longer suppressing fire because they know my XYZ.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, but
yes. And that is still like literally a very common occurrence is you look down, like this is a very common occurrence on Shoreline. I'm on first floor. I peek down a hall and I see a scav looking directly up through the floor doing this. And then as he turns toward me, I hear footsteps above me. He's not shooting. It's not suppressing fire, but he absolutely is tracking the player above me.
Well, yeah, because that, now think about it, right? If you were to implement suppressing fire, what you could do, because you're the programmer, right? You have full information inside of the code.
Yeah.
To like the behavior code, you can say player.location.
Yeah.
Like you have access there, right?
Yeah.
So how would you implement it? The easiest, most basic way would be, the person is behind cover. We recognize they are behind cover. Shoot at them.
Yeah.
At them while they're behind cover. The bullets will hit the cover.
Yeah.
Now, it's the same accuracy, whereas some bullets might not hit, but most of the bullets are probably going to be accurate. But if you're behind, some like cars or whatever, then the bullets aren't going to penetrate and you're fine. The problem is that when the cover is penetrable, the shoot at player behind cover just equals shoot at player.
Yes.
In order to do it properly, you need a completely different, much more complex
for sure
behavior, which is they've gone behind cover. I no longer player dot location, delete that from, I don't have that anymore. So it would have to be last known location.
Yes.
It would have to be shoot at them at their last known location for some reasonable period of time at which you would stop assuming that they're there anymore. And then at that point, now you're in search mode. But that's not how it was ever implemented.
And
it was shoot at player.
Yes. And that's the thing, is that it could be implemented that way. I'm sure there's like a complex way to do it, but I'm sure there's like a mediumly complex way to do it, or a less complex way to do it. Because like there already is like there has always been two states of an AI. I don't know your XYZ position because you haven't been detected yet. When you're detected, I see your XYZ and I'm following it. So I imagine that there's a mechanism to reverse that, where if I go behind cover, it's like you can maintain the AI's knowledge of that last known XYZ position. It's just no longer updating until it sees me again. You know what I mean? So like that would be nice. That's basically what you're saying. Like I'm no longer shooting that player. I'm just shooting at this XYZ position that I think.
And you don't want them shooting at that position forever, right? Which is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So
that's true.
You can't just replace one location with another. You have to replace behavior with a different kind of behavior.
That's very true. It has to go from I'm seeing the player to this is the last known XYZ. And then because that does also have to change a behavior set, that I'm not just going to nonstop shoot at them, that I'm going to shoot there for a little bit to suppress and then do some other set of behavior. The other thing is that's not addressed in these patch notes, but goes into this conversation, is that as far as my knowledge goes, AI do not consume ammunition. And this is something I'm not saying is easy to design and implement. But what I'm saying is, if you want, this is one of those things we talk about it all the time, where like the abstraction, and it's like, if you want this, it has to come with this. If you want an AI design that utilizes suppressing fire, which to be fair, what they're saying here is that they took it off. Common AI no longer use suppressing fire. But if you want AI to be smart enough to use suppressing fire, a part of that in a real human would be the conservation of ammo.
If you have 130 round mag, you're not
exactly.
Scavs
often have like a Vepr Hunter with 3 10-round mags. They have 30 rounds at their disposal. In La La Land, where I have unlimited ammo, which is where we are, it's just bang, 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 reload, bang, 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 reload, bang, bang, bang. So like, that's why I'm glad they pulled this off, the suppressing fire, because it's like you kind of want both for it to feel realistic or immersive. Like some people have been like, it doesn't feel as immersive when they don't have suppressing fire. It's like, I can see how you would think that, but it's much less immersive to kill a scav that shot 70 bullets at you, loot his body, and he has 2 10-round mags that are full. Yeah, like that's much less immersive. No conservation of ammo, just bang, 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 bang.
And that's exactly the same thing, right? That is the scav.ammo equals this.
Yeah.
And the number of magazines equals 3.
Yeah.
And it's shoot until empty, reload with a full magazine, shoot until empty, reload with a full magazine, right? That is very dumb. It's a very simple loop of do a thing, whatever. The realistic implementation of that is now they have to be aware of how much ammo they have. They have to change so now the logic from before is even more complicated, which is can you see them? How much ammo do they have? How far away is it worth shooting? All of that stuff, plus then the cover. What do I do with suppressing fire?
So overall, I'm actually glad that until they can figure out and have the headroom to make that happen, they just said, hey, let's take suppressing fire off. That's good. Suppressing fire is still ability for rogues, raiders, and bosses. And once again, the fact that they're still coping and saying accidental kills through cover created the feeling that AI were always tracking you through the wall, which led to a mostly negative game experience. It's like, bitch, they 100% track you through walls. This is non-negotiable. You guys are the only one unwilling to admit it. But I'm glad you're making strides to make that feel less noticeable.
That's the husband saying his clumsy wife keeps walking into the door jams over and over again to get those black eyes.
Yeah. Sheesh. The next thing, increased the temporary AI accuracy loss when being hit by 30%. So that's an interesting sentence. Increase the loss. But now when you're shooting an AI, they are less accurate, which I felt like I've noticed. There were a few times where this could just be a visual thing and actually not. But like I felt like there were a few times where I was shooting AI and it looked like aim punch. Like their gun was level at me and I would hit them and then they would go like this and then up. Like not that dramatic, but the gun would go to a different position when getting hit and then return to me.
It used to be like that, snap down. It was always like
yeah,
that, right?
Yeah. That feels better. It feels more natural and like more like they're getting aim punched when getting hit. You can absolutely still get one tapped in the face by an AI that's, squared up with you for sure. But that feels better. The bot spawn points can no longer be used too frequently. If a bot spawn point is not blocked by nearby players, but has been utilized before, it will have a continuously increasing availability timer. So like every time a bot spawn is used, it needs longer time before it can be used again. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. They didn't give us the times there. This is one of those.
So that would make it so that like later in raids, there's just less bots, right?
Not necessarily, because like it's a weird thing where like as the raid goes on, there are less players shooting at the bots. So initially, like all the players are killing the bots and there are less bots temporarily, but then
there's enough spawns.
Exactly. But then when there's only 2 or 3 players left, the idea is to prevent, if I'm the winner at the Shoreline Resort, I've been fighting these PMCs for 5 minutes and then I clear out the AI and I'm trying to loot. It's not just like 10 AI, 10 AI, 10 AI, 10 AI. Like that's 22% of why I cannot play Streets of Tarkov. Is because you're not allowed to loot your kills on that map. You're just not allowed to loot your kills. Between the player scavs and the AI scavs endlessly spawning in the same spawns, you just have to give up. I hate it so much. Now, this is one of those ones where I'm so glad they're addressing this. It still feels like it needs some work. Like if they hadn't put this in the patch notes, I wouldn't have even think this has been addressed. It definitely still feels like you can get overwhelmed. Maybe it's happening less often. Like these are things that are so hard to perceive as the player because you're not keeping track of when it happens and how often it happens. You're just like frustrated. So, but then you're trying to keep track of the change. So you're really just judging it based on feeling. It feels like it happens as often. Maybe it is happening less often. I don't know. It's really hard to track this stuff, but I would like to see this continue to reduce. I want there to be AI all over the map, but this specific issue that they brought up where if you're here looting and the AI spawner right next to you can just get used infinitely, like that's frustrating.
Yeah.
A singular player will no longer trigger too many bot spawns. If a particular player is very successful at killing bots within a single raid, the system will no longer maintain a dynamic rate and create a constant influx of bots. A singular player can be the trigger for a random number of enemies, but no more than a certain value. So once again, they're trying to reduce the basically binary of we know that there's a player in the area, just keep spawning AI, just keep spawning AI, just keep spawning AI. I have no idea how this is like tracked or it says if a particular player is very successful at killing bots in a single raid, like I don't know. I see the
no longer maintain a dynamic rate and create will no longer be able to maintain a dynamic rate and can create a constant influx. So was there ever a problem? Were people farming AI ever? Like, you know how you could like sit in the factory office back in the day and you would just
no.
have two piles of bodies at the
Yeah,
doors?
Not in a while. Maybe like like a year and a half ago.
Because that's what it
Streets.
sounds like. Like, I would
Yeah,
think that they were basically saying you can't farm bots anymore.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. The language is weird on that.
Yeah.
The last sentence is more clear. A single player can be the trigger for a random number of enemies, but no more than a certain value, meaning it's trying to not overwhelm you. But yeah, I don't know. The common AI of all difficulty levels, including sniper scavs, will no longer take the first shot at long range, even if they have detected an enemy. Now, if an enemy is detected at very long range, the bot being uncertain of their skills, we are going to come back to how much I love that goddamn sentence, will prefer to take cover and switch to a waiting tactic. However, if the player themselves has detected a bot and attacked them, the bot will shoot back. Being uncertain of their skills. This is incredible, and I've had a few people complain about it, and it makes me lose my mind. This is the most lore-rich sentence in all the patch notes in 6 years. We were told that these scavs were just dudes that hung out and stayed after, and they're just trying to survive in this war-torn land. All their guns are 14 durability. None of them have freaking scopes on it or anything.
Until I started to have conversation with Nikita for a period of time, then the narrative changed to no, all the scavs are actually
ex-military,
police and ex-security, and they aren't operators necessarily, right?
Yeah.
But they are all like ex-soldiers, and it's like, well, what?
I hated that retcon, by the way, but this feels like back to the original. At very long distances, being uncertain of their skills, they would rather wait to see if you're going to get closer. However, if they're getting shot at, they'll shoot back. I have another clip. I'm not going to pull it up, but I'm saying I have another clip. It was the day this patch came out. I went shoreline and I ran up to the balcony on 301, where every time I play lots of shoreline, every time sniper scav shoots at me from the sniper scav behind the resort by the river, those sniper scavs are always shooting at me when I'm up on that balcony. I stood on that balcony and I ADS'd on the scav's head, and he paced to the left and he paced to the right and he turned around and he saw me and he just stood there. And I just stood there looking at him, and he just stood there looking at me for like 30 seconds. And I go, okay, what happens when I shoot him in the leg? I shot him in the leg. He went prone and fired back. And then I shot him in the head. And I was like, it works. It friggin' works. That's amazing. That's so human. You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing. Well, hold on. There's one more. Improved the AI positioning system. This change will help to improve their behavior in a group and reduce the number of situations in which bots are moving too close to each other or occupying the same cover. With this, we will be able to fix bugs related to bots colliding with each other more effectively.
I'm fine with them being less buggy if there's less realism. Because, like, if you're with your homies, you want to be with your homies. You don't want to be split up. But if it's like, but shit's fucked. So it's like, by all means.
I'm there with you. I'm there with you. Dude, I have really been having to just let it go. And I wouldn't say this is like, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying like the community hates this patch or anything. But I've had, more than a couple of people be like, I feel like the AI is too easy now. And I'm just like, you need help. Like, you're Stockholm syndromed into thinking like the AI's existence is to just kill you and ruin your play experience. This is so much better. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. They feel human. So much more human. When you see, literally think about when you're playing and you've got a Mosin with a PU or something, and you see a player 120 meters out, you normally wait to see what he's going to do because he might run closer to you and stop and give you a good shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not full autoing him.
Shot.
Yeah, from 300 meters. You know what I mean? When in real life, if you're looking ahead of you and someone ADS is on the back of your head from 100 meters away, you don't just turn around and one tap them unless you're cheating, in which I hope you step on a Lego. Like, the easy is relative.
I'm still not convinced that is real, by the way.
What do you mean?
Of course I could be wrong, but the whole, like, they know when you're aiming at them.
Oh, I was literally talking to Airwing the other day, today, because he was like talking to one of the BSG guys about it. And he was like, yeah, they never really had like a sixth sense, but like it's complicated, but like this was kind of the explanation. I told him this, I'll tell it to you. I understand this is a character flaw. There is nothing anyone on this earth could say to convince me. Neil deGrasse Tyson could go through the code, Brian Cox, and convince me. I won't believe, I can't. And I know it's a character flaw, and I know I try to be, you literally just can't convince me. I have too many clips. Like,
do you have any, so I guess my question is, and I'm completely willing.
Yeah, I know you're not like going to die on this hill.
I just wonder if when you see a bot, right, that basically means you are within X amount of meters.
Yeah.
And there's a clear line of sight between you and them.
Yeah.
Most people, when they see a bot, they stop running, they aim, and go to line up a shot and then go to shoot. So that means most people are within line of sight within a certain distance and shoot within 3 or 4 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And for them, the bot whips around right when they're fucking aiming and turns and shoots.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to run, not shoot, not ADS, if after 2.5 seconds they flipped around and started shooting, that would mean that they're just responding to you being there, line of sight, close.
Yeah.
So, but they're indistinguishable, right? Like, it always follows the aim because you're always aiming.
And,
right?
Yes, correct. I have a clip. I've got clips. This is clips on clips on clips. But one of the clips that sticks in my mind is, you haven't played Streets of Tarkov to know exactly where this is, but know that what's happening is I'm 3 stories up in a building, in like a dilapidated building where the windows are boarded up, and some of the windows have like a 6-inch by 6-inch or 10-inch by 10-inch thing. I'm counter sniping a PMC, so I'm basically slow creeping around the thing. I stand up, and through the window, I see a scav 100 meters away on the ground through the window. And I ADS on his head, and I look at chat and I go, how long until he turns and spots me? 3 seconds later, turn, shoot, literally hits me in the neck. I have to go back and heal. And then I just look at the camera, and then I get easy clips. Now, I'm very willing to admit that it might not have anything to do with the aiming, but I believe in my soul that there's almost like, if there is a line of sight on the target, regardless of if the scav is looking in your direction, it's like a 3-second timer. And then that would make it seem like when you ADS on them, it's like, my thing is not that like the act of ADSing is necessarily, it definitely seems that way.
Well, no, it for sure could. So like, I think that there's really 2 explanations. It's like basically a line of sight plus timing thing that is either indistinguishable, but like the best way to test this, in my opinion, right? The best way to test this is go up in the window, see the scav walking down the road, and like, as if you were gonna point fire.
Yeah. Try and like track them.
If you had a dot, put it on them and do nothing.
Yeah.
And like for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then
you ADS.
ADS and he turns, you have convinced me fully.
Yeah. But once again, my issue wasn't necessarily with the ADSing. It was with the fact that no matter where they're looking, they will ascertain your location independent of seeing you.
And I guess it's important whether that trigger is proximity in time or whether it's because they could do this. I can't imagine, because this is like extra work for like what reason? Which would be, you always have like a vector. There's an imaginary line
from your eyes
from your eyes. Now it could be from your eyes. It could be from the scope. It could be from the barrel. I don't know, right? But the question is, does that intersect in 3-dimensional space? Because all you're doing is like some 3-dimensional, it's just trigonometry. Does that line intersect with a sphere or like a pill shape around? It's literally just, does a line intersect a shape? That's how all collision detection it works in games. So it could very well be, if the line intersects with the sphere, they react to a threat.
Correct. Yeah. But either way, whether the trigger is ADS or like you said, time and distance and just that vector like actually interacting with each other, it feels light years better.
Really?
I mean, literally, I've spent, the sum total of probably 20 minutes in the past week just ADS'd on scavs. Like, not at the same time, but like, I just do it for my own entertainment. I'll just sit ADS on a scav and just like bask in it. He doesn't know I'm there. And it feels, and then in my head, I'll go, well, what would make him see me? And he starts walking, and then he starts walking, and he turns towards me, and then he sees me. Now, I hope that, like, I would hope that there are, like, more and less obvious places. I mean, they talked a little bit about how, well, actually, yeah, they talked a little bit about it, because they said, detection speed. Yeah, angle to target is one of the factors in detection speed. So if you're higher up at an off angle, that will increase the amount of time it'll take to detect you, even if it's looking in your direction, because that's another piece of the puzzle. There's one piece where it's like AI shouldn't be able to see me unless they're looking in my direction. That's like base level. But then there's another level where it's like, if the AI is looking at my direction, but what they're looking at is a 3-story building, and in their perceived, cone of vision is the entire 3-story building, and 3 pixels of my ass cheek are visible through a quarter-size hole on the second floor window
where
6-1 to the left.
The sun is shining on it, and you couldn't see through it
Exactly. That's like layer 2 detectability that I hope gets better, that I haven't done as much testing. Like, can he see me when I'm out on the balcony versus, shooting at him through? I would hope that gets better as well. I had a situation with Berkey. This was before the patch, but I had a situation with Berkey where Sanitar and his goons were outside of the resort. We were in one of the rooms looting, and they detected us through one of those things where it was like a bookshelf was up against a window, and they detected us through a very thin thing and shot at us. And we were like, what was that? And so I ran out on the balcony, because I still don't know what was happening, to see what it was. And I was in the room, and the time it took me to run out to the balcony, a grenade hit me in the forehead from them. Because once they go into detection mode, they're all in detection mode. So before we had any ability to see them, the dude had detected a shot once and threw a nade, and I walked out, caught it in my mouth, and blew up, and I was like, what? So I hope that gets better too, where like, if you're harder to detect, you're harder to detect.
Well, yeah, I mean, that coupled with the adjusted the coefficient of enemy silhouette detection influence. So that, what that means is the coefficient, right? Like when you have 2x, right? Like the 2 is the coefficient.
Yeah.
So imagine there's a 50% chance, just like all other things being equal, there's a 50% chance a bot will see you. 50% chance times your entire body size or half your body size. So now there's half the chance that they'll see you. So now it's a 25% chance they'll see you.
Yeah.
Or if you're prone, well, now it's a 7% chance they'll see you.
Yep.
So now if you're prone on a 3rd floor and they're on the ground, it's significantly less likely. Now, looking at this clip here, what I want to know is, I don't know. You'd have to watch these guys for long enough. But so here's the thing. It seems like I remember back in the day, like when you'd look at these guys, they would stand there motionless for like 30 seconds. And then one of them would walk 10 feet and stop. A couple seconds later, the other would walk 10 feet and stop. And they would just be like on guard patrol, you know, PlayStation fucking Metal Gear Solid guard patrol. It looks like they're like running around all crazy. And that right there, you would be dead. You would have been dead by now.
That was him detecting me. That little glitch was him detecting me.
So the question is why is he not shooting you? Is he not shooting you because he doesn't see you? Or because he's not sure? Or is that because he's not confident enough to take a shot?
Exactly. Common AI of all difficulty level, including sniper scavs, will no longer take the first shot at long range, even if they have detected an enemy. Now, if an enemy is detected at very long range, the bot
I missed that first shot.
Yeah, the bot, uncertain of their skills, will prefer to take cover and switch to a waiting tactic. However, if the player themselves has detected the bot and attacked them, the bot will shoot back. So,
okay, I don't know how I missed that beginning sentence with the no longer
take the first shot,
be the first to shoot.
Yeah,
bro,
which is so much better.
Okay, literally, someone earlier typed, I forget fucking who or when, but it was basically like, okay, wait, at this point, can we fucking attribute these changes to me? Because they sound like exactly, I mean, like when I did the Scav AI video, that's exactly the kind of thing I was saying. Now, when at the time when he said it, I'm like, nah, like, I can't take credit for. Maybe that one I'll give myself a little pat on the back.
This is the shit that you've been talking about, bro. So it feels so much better. It like, dude, I've gotten griefed by AI since where they're shooting me through. Like, it feels human. Like, I have absolutely today been in a PvP fight on Shoreline and getting absolutely griefed by the AI, but I'm not getting griefed by them because they're spin botting me with a buckshot shotgun from 600 meters away. I'm getting griefed by them because they're out in the courtyard. I'm in an active firefight, and the first floor is all just windows. They hear the shots. They see where I'm at. They're taking shots at me. It like the moment where I'm yelling at the AI is so far the exact thing you want. I'm not yelling at them because I feel as if it's unfair. I'm yelling at them because the timing, and then that's what you want out of AI. Once again,
you're yelling at them in a fight. You're not yelling at them from the death screen.
Yes, dude, that's what you want. And that's the thing is like, I think people that play a lot of Tarkov largely don't understand the purpose AI serve in these games most of the time. The AI in Tarkov up to this point has served, like, their intention is to get you to seek therapy. Like, the intention was deteriorate your mental health, like actually ruin your gameplay experience. And you got 6,000 hours and you're used to that. And so you're like, why is the AI so easy? But in real video games, the AI is there to enhance the experience by making it dynamic. They're there to deplete you of resources. They shoot you, you have to heal. They shoot you, you have to shoot back at them. They're there for detection. You have to shoot them. Now other players in the area know where they are. They're there to make a firefight dynamic. I was just going to hold this angle. I hear this PMC running at me. I was going to have a free kill. The AI are shooting at me. Now the other PMC knows I'm around and I have to reposition. Those are what make it dynamic, and those are ways in which the AI can like detract from your experience in a way that's not just killing you.
Yeah, you remember that old game Galaga?
Yeah.
The scavs should be the little tiny asteroids that you have to, that are like trivial to avoid and they don't do a whole lot of damage, and the players are the alien ships shooting back at you. Like, right? Like, the scavs aren't the main enemy. They are the filler buffer content to enrich the real enemy, which is the PMCs.
Yes. And to make your experience more stressful. If you're like, we've all been there where we're like, I'm not looking for fight. I just want to get my quest item and get out. And then you have to shoot a bunch of scavs and you're unsuppressed. And now you're more stressed. You're like, I need to get my quest item fast. Like, they heighten the experience without having to be like a source of actual depression in your life. And so I feel like they're so much better. And And I think people saying they're too easy are like coping some insanity because they feel here's the thing. They went from superhuman to human. They didn't go from human to subhuman. Right? Like they didn't like there's always been some jank where sometimes you just like look at a scav and he looks at you and nobody knows why he's not shooting you. Like that even in the old system when the AI were Terminators, there's always been, but they didn't get brought to a level where an AI will look at you and then like run in circles, shove his gun up his own ass and shoot himself. And like they're not stupid. They're just more human. They were freaking I don't know what I just said. They were metahuman. They were better.
Agent Johnson.
They were John Wick. They were these people with like iron sights, buckshot, or slugs shooting you from super far away with 100% accuracy. So I don't think the AI are perfect. I've had some jank. One of the things that they addressed in some bug fixes that they list down below that absolutely still need help, which is they still will walk up to a door and just walk right through the door. Me and Airwing had some like weird thing where literally an AI ran into a locked room. Like I had unlocked the key and he ran in, and previously I'd never thought that they would ever cross the threshold of a room that was locked. I didn't think that they could determine that. They would always just like wait. He ran in and then like phased through the wall on Shoreline. It wasn't even a door. He just like phased through the wall. So there's some weird stuff. There's still some jank. There's still some stuff with the AI. Some of the bosses, like a lot of the bosses didn't get much love because they want the bosses to be hard. I still think that Killa's 11% visibility should absolutely, detract from his accuracy. So the AI is not perfect. This isn't like, oh my God, BSG, you did it. But this might be the most significant step forward for one of the most significant issues with the game that we've had in a long time. Like I've been saying all week, this guy, whoever spearheaded this patch, give him a weekend off, get him on the audio right now. Right now. Like train him. It'll be quicker if he doesn't know audio to train him than it will be for whoever's on audio to fix it. Like that's been painfully
Don't even need
clear.
to train him, just put the documentation in front of him.
Yeah. So once again,
He'll
like
figure it out.
AI's not perfect, but holy, like just monumental step in the right direction. And it feels, and you literally can feel it. You can feel it, and it makes like, it actually made my week of Tarkov better. Now, I don't think it's like, oh my God, like if you've been frustrated with Tarkov, come back. Like the audio is like worse than it has ever been or as bad as it's ever been. The cheating, the netcode, the hit reg, all this kind of stuff is still bad. But holy, was it nice to just get like a step forward in a key area without any perceived giant steps backwards in the mix.
Yeah, now you're not bent over with an entire arm up your asshole and a hot poker in your eyeball. Now the hot poker's gone. There's no more shit sprinkles on the shit frosting cake.
Yeah.
It's just shit frosting on
the shit cake.
The shit cake with chocolate filling.
And hopefully the next patch is chocolate frosting on the shit cake with shit filling, and then the next patch is chocolate frosting with chocolate sprinkles and a chocolate cake with shit filling, and like maybe one day there's a minimal amount of shit. I hope. But this was like, I just wanted to point that out because obviously, we're known for just being negative Nancy's. Like, I've been begging them to give me a reason to freaking glaze them. You know what I mean? I've been begging them to give me a reason to applaud them. And this is that. So like, in my opinion, so far, the patch might get worse over time. Some bugs that aren't persistent yet. They might hot fix a patch and that undoes the AI. They've done that a million times with the arm hitbox bug. They fix it and then they do a hot fix and it unfixes it. But currently, after a week of playing Tarkov with it, my opinion is that it is a monumental step in the right direction that actually like makes the day-to-day raid-to-raid experience of playing the game better. W.
Dude, hell yeah, that's awesome. I do. All that reminds me of real quick is, and this is relevant. Tarkov. Not only was the pools game, the audio, just like Chef's Kiss, but in Hellblade, there's literally like you go through a couple of trials. There's a mission where you're supposed to basically be like blind. Now, what ends up happening is like everything's dark around you except for like a very dim pathway, but you follow the pathway.
Yeah.
But there's also like you hear like a stream, like a babbling brook in the direction. I played the entire like 5-minute segment with my eyes closed, creeping around through an environment that and all I did was just use my like literally fully immersed myself.
That's insane.
And it's like, why every other game? And that's, I'm pretty sure it was made in Unity, by the way.
Bro. Like
made in Unity, by the way.
Dude. Yeah, it's I mean, it's nothing new. It's just as bad or worse than it's ever been. And just in terms of, it feels worse only in the sense that like we have like every bad audio bug that's ever been in the game is still in the game. And their reverb system that they added this wipe is scuffed beyond recognition. A scav will be on the same floor as you, turn a corner, you could kiss him on the forehead if you want, and he'll scream like Schwajile or something, and it'll be 400 yards away underwater, plugged into an amplifier facing the wrong direction with reverb at 100. And you're just like, what? Or like every once in a while you shoot and one gunshot out of your gun sounds like an atomic bomb goes off. And you don't know why. And you don't know what triggers it. And I don't know how to get it. So it's like the frustrating audio bugs and these reverb bugs are out of control. I've been playing a lot of Shoreline, and man, I mean, I've told you this a million times, but like it's the audio is indistinguishable from the roof, the third floor, the second floor, the first floor, the basement of these wings. The west wing, you can go in the basement. Indistinguishable. And I can hear a guy ADSing on the roof from the first floor. I can hear a guy ADS on the roof. And then I have a clip in the resort. Somebody ran across Skybridge, and I was like, I think I had my hand off my keyboard. I was like talking to Jen or something, and he runs around the corner at me. Complete silence. I didn't hear him run across. I didn't hear him jump over. When you're going from west to east, when you arrive at east, there's a bookshelf and you have to jump over it. He jumps over it, runs across my screen. I wasn't moving, so he didn't hear me. He runs across and I still got the kill. But I was like, I can hear him ADS on the roof of the building. But he full sprinted from 100 meters away directly at me, and not a morsel of audio came through. So it's like, we got to get the AI guy on the audio. 911. 911. Criminal.
Yeah, dude.
Criminal minds.
Fucking, and then this is in Unity. You need headphones for this. Can you hear this?
I'll be right here.
Oh.
Nice and close so I can speak without alerting the others. Let me tell you about Senua. Her story has already come to an end, but now it begins anew.
It's like ASMR.
What's happening? It's breathing. Dead. It's breathing. It's breathing. He knows she's getting closer. He can feel her coming closer. She's getting closer.
They're watching. This is a journey deep into darkness. There will be no more stories after this one.
Ooh.
Why is she doing this?
I'm watching.
Why doesn't she do coming? She's doing this for him. She wants to rescue him.
And that was made in Unity?
That was made in Unity. Dude, when I saw the credits roll and it was like, this is made in Unity, I was like...
Oh, man.
Oh, no, wait. I lied. The Pools game had incredible audio.
Oh, that was made in Unity.
That was made in Unity, and I just Googled it. It was Unreal Engine 4.
Still. We know that it's doable.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, a few other tiny little things. One, we got, as a result, they did a survey like a month ago about scavs. which I was very excited for. It was asking, like, should scavs be able to pick what time they do? Should scavs be able to pick what map they do? Are you happy with how frequently you run into player scavs and stuff like that? I knew, like, this is not something I want to get into. I know I'm in the minority, and it was like 30% of the population, they posted the results, think that scavs shouldn't be able to choose their own map. That's one of those things, in my opinion, my hot quick take I will not elaborate on is you'll never be able to convince people that that's better for the game. But I believe if they made that change a year later, all the players in the game would benefit from it. Like,
they'd be happier.
Yes, it's just one of those things you'll never be able to ask the community and them say yes on. But I'm not going to dwell on it. They're not going to make that change, even though they actually said they were going to in patch notes before. But what came as a result was the overwhelming majority of players said they're running into player scavs too early. And so they split the difference between what people wanted, which is 15 and 20 minutes. Now on all maps, player scavs will not spawn until the raid has been live for 17 minutes, which is much better, much better.
It used to be like 3 minutes.
3. Yes.
Was it actually 3?
Actually 3. I've spawned, like, Streets was...
That's a good guess.
Streets was 50, and I think at the beginning, and I've spawned an innumerable number of times on Streets at 47 minutes. It was 3 minutes. So 17 is a much better number. Now there's some exclusions like Factory, because Factory is only like 20 minutes long. So you would have 3 minutes to scav. And then weirdly, Reserve is exempt from that. And I don't know why they didn't elaborate on that.
Reserve's one of the worst.
Yeah, I don't know why. But they didn't say, when I say that it's exempt from it, I don't think they mean that you can still spawn in at 3 minutes. I think they mean it's just not 17. Maybe it's 15 or 12 on that map. I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't play Reserve, F Reserve. I play a lot of Streets and Lighthouse and Shoreline and Customs and Woods. And so basically what I'm interested in is this. They used to fill scavs at 3 minutes into the raid. So, like, this is all made up numbers, but this is just to get the point across. If they used to pour in player scavs at 3 minutes into the raid, 6 minutes into the raid, 12 minutes into the raid, 15 minutes into the raid, 17 minutes into the raid, and then so on, maybe there were 14 times. Well, now because they can't even start, that means they have a lower number of times to put PMC player scavs in raid, which means presumably if you're in line to scav on Streets, your line is longer. So I've always said, I don't think you should be able to choose because then it would evenly distribute player scavs among other maps. This may inadvertently do that where more people, like scavving on Streets and Lighthouse is going to be, today I waited 10 minutes to get into a Lighthouse scav. I aborted. I went to Woods and I was in the raid less than 90 seconds after I clicked go. And on Lighthouse, I was still matching at the 10-minute mark. So the hope is that this maybe does inadvertently disperse it better. And then at the very least, if you just don't care, you're going to scav Streets no matter what. Now you have to wait longer and I get to enjoy at least 17 minutes of peace. So yeah, I think that's much better. And then they did another survey today on the weather and had some pretty cool questions there. So once again, trying to give them props. I definitely gave them shit for having the survey system in the game for like 8 months before they used a single survey. That was insanity. They've been doing one every 2 weeks and posting the results of them and making changes to the game as the result of them. W. And then the last thing of note is Arena is coming to the Epic Games Store.
That's like confusing.
Yeah, the speculation, runs wild from like Epic Games is paying them, or some people say Epic is paying Epic Games. Some people are saying that they're trying to get more.
Epic is paying Epic Games?
That
or BSG
is paying Epic Games. Some people think they're doing it to get, new players. Some people think Arena is going to go free to play. Some people think
wouldn't that be a kick in the ball?
Yeah, some people think it's going to. They're doing this because BSG is aligning with Epic because their next project after Tarkov is going to be on Unreal Engine. The conspiracies are going crazy, and I'm sure there's some nugget of truth to some of them. I don't know why they're doing it, but ultimately, more players. Here's my thought. Tell me if you think this is dumb. More players is more better because if the game is bad, more players saying like, yo, like more non-Tarkov people coming in and being like, yo, this game is shit, might motivate them to change it. And, or if the game is good, more players is more better. So it's like, all right. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I can't see how this would be a bad thing. If you don't like Arena, then you're probably not playing Arena. And then it coming out on another launcher probably doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it could be a bad thing. There's definitely a lot of, I completely lost what I was saying. There have been a lot of games before that were paid that went free to play. And then the people that paid get like the battle pass for free for like 2 years, or like cosmetics. Like, there's definitely been a precedent before for games that have been paid going free to play and then giving something to the people. So I'm interested to see that, you know, that's a theory that I could see happening, because I really think no one is freaking playing Arena. But we'll see.
Yeah,
Once again,
really.
I don't play at all. I don't really have any skin in the game. I maintain my stance that my hate for Arena is not like a religion. If they made Arena fun, I'd probably play it, right? Like, it's not like a seal where I say Arena sucks, I'll never play it again. I'm always rooting for games to be fun. So if they maybe get more people in, get some more feedback, get some more resources on it, I don't know what it is, but if it ends up being good, then hell yeah. But I just found it to be interesting, because everyone has like wondered when Steam, or people are asking, does this mean that Tarkov 1.0 is going to come to alternate launchers? Like, there's just lots of conversations that came out of that decision. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people say, like, does that mean that they're going to port Arena to Unreal?
No.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to do that.
It's too late for that.
Why not? Of course, why not?
It's too late for that. But there's got to be some other motivation. So very interesting indeed. But yeah, that's the stuff. Some interesting Tarkov things happening, and we haven't been talking about Tarkov as much because I don't want to bitch, but I was excited that there were like some cool things to talk about, some W's, right? I want to feature those when they're there. Awesome. So that is exciting. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging. Thanks for being here. Thanks for enjoying the content. If you enjoy it and you want more content like it, you can go to patreon.com/thepogcastpod. Get early ad-free access to these episodes, additional episodes every single week we do especially for the patrons. It's a fun time. Thank you again to Chubbies, ExpressVPN, and Factor for sponsoring this episode. And we will definitely see y'all on the next one.
Peace.